As our journey unfolds, we travel to Pretoria, where Capitec client and master's student in nuclear engineering, Cheyeza Mulasi, has found a unique way to brighten up her spare time, combining her love for science and beautiful things by creating handmade scented candles from scratch, a hobby she is now transforming into a business.
Hi there, my name is Cheyeza Mulasi and I am a master's student researcher. Welcome to my family home. Let's go right in. I'm a final year master's student at Northwest University and I'm currently doing nuclear engineering. Nuclear engineering has a lot of different streams, but what I currently focus on is power generation. So I basically study the fuel that comes from the nuclear reactor and it goes into the waste. So I study that in order to try and mitigate any accidents from happening. To unwind, I usually just go to the gym, take a jog around the area I live in, or just make candles. I've been making candles for about a year now, just to relax and unwind, and it was just something I thought would be different from what I actually study, and it has nothing to do with engineering. So this is a way to just relax. To make a candle, you can use household items like pegs, you can use a jar, you can use a mug as a container instead of these. You can use basically anything. Besides the household items, I order my wicks and my wax online, and I also order fragrance oil and my pretty jars because I like nice things. Ordering online is very simple, it's very safe, especially during a pandemic, especially now that Capitec has introduced the virtual card, so it makes it even easier to process online payments. The Capitec virtual card ensures layers of safety by ensuring that in order to see your CVV number, you need to use your PIN. I chose to bank with Capitec because it was easy to open an account, and I looked at their features and their offerings, and I can track my money very easily on the Capitec app. I'm going to show you how to make a candle, and it's very simple. All you have to do is measure the wax, just to kind of measure how much wax you're using, but that's also dependent on how many candles and how big you want them to be. Next, we are going to fill up this pot. You just need to pour enough water so that this pot is not floating, but it's slightly submerged in the water. So the tricky thing about wax is that it cannot be in contact with direct heat, otherwise you will damage the wax, hence the two-step boiling. As the wax is melting, I'm just evening it out to melt faster. I am going to start preparing the fragrance. The fragrance is dependent on the size of your jar. To make it easier, I use an egg cup. I just pour that in there just to kind of estimate so that it's easier to suck in with this. Now that my wax has melted, I'm going to now check the temperature. It's at about 80 degrees now, so I'm just gonna put it aside until it gets to about 65 to 70 degrees because that is the fragrance pouring temperature for soy wax. I use 2 wicks for my jars because it's relatively big, so the 2 wicks kind of allow it to burn evenly. I'm gonna put glue dots underneath just to make the wick stick to the jar. I'm going to use the pegs to keep them straight. There we go, and then I'm going to go back to pouring the fragrance. So I'm using a vanilla and caramel fragrance for the candles. I'm just going to make sure that the temperature is round about 65. There we go. Then I'm going to put the fragrance. This hobby really teaches me patience because you need to be very patient, especially with the temperatures. And it also just allows me to focus on anything outside of my school. And I mean, this is interesting for me. So it's really just about getting out of my head for a sec. I am going to now pour it into the jar. This requires accuracy and patience because you don't want any holes. Now we basically just have to wait for 12 hours for the wax to set, and then you can have a finished product. So I've actually turned this hobby into a business called Copper Milk, and I just want to make candles on a larger scale, buy equipment, and make sure that more people have the luxury of these exquisite scents.
Cheyeza shows us that even with a busy life, we can always find time to wind down and do something we love. Shine a light on your hobby by standing a chance of winning a 1,000 Rand cash prize to invest in your passion. Simply reply to the competition post on our social media platforms using hashtag #LiveBetter. T's and C's can be found on the insidersa.co.za.